Hello folks, just a quick little thing before this video starts. We originally were intending for this to be an acting predictions video for all 4 of the categories. That's what it was originally filmed as, but that video went about an hour and a half long, so we figured we would split it up between the lead actor and actress video and the supporting actor and actress video. This is the video for lead actor and actress. Supporting actor and actress will be coming out in the next day or two. So just wanted to let you know in case it seems in that video like we're talking about all the different categories and hinting towards the supporting categories. That will be in a separate video in the coming days. So yes, Jesus, you can really tell that I'm recording this at 3 a.m. Yeah, so let's head back to when I was a little more awake and when we were talking about Best Actress and Best Actor. Enjoy. Starting off with, I think, the one that gets the most attention every year, Best Actress. This is the one I had the most trouble with putting a number one. Once again, I'm just going to say it's pre-festival, so we don't really know. So without further ado, I just went a little safe, I guess. I went with Angelina Jolie for Maria. It's a biopic movie. I think she's going to have a great year with this, and she also has a movie that she directed that is hitting the festivals. I don't know. The last 2 Pablo the Rain nominees got in. I'm sure she'll give a great performance. I look at these like Mikey Madison, what we talked about last year with Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone was when there's not a clear frontrunner in the Best Actress category, it usually goes to the performance that's in the strongest film, which was Poor Things last year. So if there's not a sweeper, it usually goes to the performance in the strongest film, which would probably be Mikey Madison this year. I feel pretty safe in looking at these contenders that that's going to be the biggest picture contender overall, but
out of that top 5, yes, I
out of that top 5, yeah. But I feel like that nomination is more of like a welcome to the club and will maybe give you a win later nomination, more so like a breakout performance like that. I feel like you usually, like even Jennifer Lawrence, who like is considered an ingenue when she was previously nominated for Winter's Bone. So I don't know, it could happen, but I just feel like that's not something that happens often between those top 2. So who would you have? I'm having trouble. I'm not super confident in Angelina Jolie, but she seems like the safe pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, given that the film doesn't have a distributor,
yeah.
Right now I feel like it's a struggle. Also because Natalie Portman and Kristen Stewart in the previous Pablo Larraín female biopic films didn't really, I mean, they always had a lot of like flash out of the gate, but they were never really win competitive when it came down to it. The 2016 race was down to Emma Stone and Isabelle Huppert. The 2021 race was down to Jessica Chastain and who else? I feel like
I think Penelope Cruz was number 2.
I guess the last minute, but I think that's the rush towards Penelope Cruz that I will say I fell victim to. I think was just proof that there was really nobody else. We were looking for a race somewhere among the nominees. So that would be my issues. It feels like the Academy doesn't seem to like Pablo Larraín's approach to these movies. We love them, of course. So I feel hesitant about that. I feel like Mikey Madison, this is the coming out party for her. This is her chance to, introduce herself in a major way. I don't know if it goes all the way to the win. We've seen it happen, of course, if it's that demonstrative of a performance, but I don't know if this is yet. We have to see how it plays with the Academy. The name that's not on here, and I think it's because we're questioning, where she's going to end up, what movie for which. I will take you back to 2008. We had somebody who was nominated 5 times before without a win, and she had 2 movies, and she went to the Golden Globes, and she won both of them. And that was Kate Winslet when she won for The Reader in, I believe it was Best Actress Drama, and then she won Best Supporting Actress for Revolutionary Road. And Revolutionary Road definitely helped her with The Reader, solidifying her first and only Oscar win for that film. Saoirse Ronan has 2 movies. She has Blitz and The Outrun, and I think we have to see the performances, we have to see the movies, but just in the same way that I think, nobody was super jazzed about either Revolutionary Road or The Reader. They loved Kate Winslet and they felt that it was her time. And both movies kind of showed you the range of her and her ability and reminded people why they love her. And I think because it's been 5 years since Saoirse Ronan's last nomination for Little Women and Best Actress, we've taken a little bit of a break. I think we've allowed everybody to miss her, and I think if she comes through strong, I think she could definitely win this, because I think she is beloved. I've been going all the way back to Atonement. I think people have really enjoyed her, and apparently your thought bubble agrees.
I agree. I agree. I don't know what causes those. We'll get Saoirse Ronan is in the next slide. I think I think she's got a better chance in one of the later categories we'll talk about, to be honest, because I think The Outrun is going to be a much weaker film than Blitz overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I could see it. She's definitely, even for her age, considered a little overdue. I mean, like you said, 5 nominations. That's more than pretty much anyone else here, besides Amy Adams, who is, I guess we can talk about overdue. I think she's at like 6 or 7 nominations at this point.
I believe it's her. We're recording this on her 50th birthday too.
Oh wow!
I believe she's at 7. I think 7.
I think 7, and this would be 8.
It's 7 or something's telling me 8, but I don't think it's 8. I think it's 7.
I think this
would have been 8 if she got Arrival, but she didn't get Arrival. So I think
Oh,
her last nomination was supporting actress for Vice, and I think that was her 7th nomination.
I just feel like we never oftentimes give these actors the win for the right performances. Like Arrival would have been a great win for her. But oh well. If she doesn't, I feel like with Amy Adams, I either feel like she's going to win or she might not be nominated. I feel like those are the ranges here. So that's why I stuck her at number 5, because I'm not completely sure. We did have her at number 1. I think we were early on in the Amy Adams train.
I let you lead that bandwagon. You were
very
yes,
that was all me.
6 previous nominations. Vice being her last.
Okay, so this would be 7.
Yeah, I just feel like there are those actors that, I feel like you're always looking out for, like, who haven't won. Who are like, maybe this is it. And I get the sense that sometimes, that helps them in the odds at this point in the race, and that the movies, like, I struggle to see Night Bitch is going to have to perform extraordinarily well, even if they're only going for her performance, because then I do think that Amy Adams has lost a little bit of the energy around her that she had at the beginning of the 2010s. As far as people like being like, well, I have to see the new Amy Adams movie. Maybe
she'll bring last good movie. Arrival.
No, I mean, I would say Vice. I thought that was I like Vice. I thought it was, and I thought she was good in it. But so it's been a while, and I think, given the premise, I wonder if people are going to check this one out when, we do have Lady Gaga, which everybody's going to have their eyes on Joker, and we have Emilia Perez, and we have the people on your list who I think, Nicole Kidman, Julianne Moore, those are solid bets given the package that the movie has at this state. We're going to get some eyes on both of them, I believe, in the coming weeks at the festivals. Yeah. So I definitely think now they're a safe bet. I think Julianne Moore is very strong. I would not look to May December's lack of a performance last year. I wouldn't let that sway you as far as this year. I think that this is a movie that I believe is playing in theaters. Yes.
Yes, Sony Pictures. Yeah,
that'll help. It'll get some box office momentum, and Pedro Almodovar does wonders for his actors recently. Antonio Banderas got in one of the most competitive actor races in recent memory. Penelope Cruz got in, so I think that she's a very solid bet in this category.
Yeah. So we can move over to Julianne Moore. I mean, the trailer just came out yesterday. Was it yesterday or today? It came out recently for The Room Next Door. She's clearly the lead in it, as we had questioned. It looks great. It looks like a Persona kind of movie. So yeah, it looks great. I think she clearly, it's a very there's no speaking in the trailer, but it's a very facially reactive performance from what we've seen so far. And I think The Room Next Door will benefit because I think it's Sony Pictures Classics' main only real push this year. Unlike last year, I think Netflix prioritized Maestro over May December, so I think that kind of hurt it in the acting races. So yeah, I feel pretty good that it's Julianne Moore. It's in a, like you said, Pedro film. He usually gets his actors in. She looks great in it, so I feel pretty good about her nomination. A second win, I don't know, probably not at this point, but who knows? But yeah, I feel pretty safe about her getting nominated. Then we can talk about Nicole Kidman in Baby Girl. I'm going to keep saying it. You called it her tar, so we'll have to see. If it's her tar, then she'll definitely be in contention for the win. It seems like a very potentially juicy kind of role. She's playing a CEO of a company who gets involved in a kind of intrepid affair with one of her interns, played by Harris Dickinson, and it kind of crumbles her life around her. I believe her husband is played by Antonio Banderas. Sophie Wilde from Talk to Me is in the film, I believe, as another intern. So yeah, I think it's going to be. It sounds even kind of similar to Tar in the way that a relationship issue kind of crumbles this powerful woman's world around her. So I think lots of potential juicy acting moments. I think we have more faith in this film than a lot of other people do, because at this time of year is when we get to take risks. Because in a few weeks we're going to know everything about all of these movies, pretty much review-wise.
Well, so, we'll see about that. They always do surprise us in some regards or another. I do think that we want to make sure that the character doesn't turn off voters. That's always a potential. It was the potential. That was, I think, the issue. Also, the low priority screener that Destroyer was, which was another Nicole Kidman film. But I do think that with A24 backing this, potentially it's becoming A24's leading contender, then we do have a chance for this to rise. And I think she's when you have such a strong movie star, I do think they overcome a lot of the negatives that could arise with the campaign or the movie. I do think we should definitely note that Carla Sofia Gasson, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, you can correct me in the comments, from Amelia Perez, I do think is very strong. I do think she's going to be fighting it out with Mikey Madison as far as trying to, claim their space. But I also see a world where maybe Angelina Jolie potentially misses if the movie just doesn't have that strong support, and maybe they both
or even doesn't come out this year. At this point, if you don't have a distributor at this point, kind of like Sing Sing, you might end up in next year's award season.
Exactly. So, before we move on from this category, I want to mention our two musical ladies.
Yes, we do have another slide after this, by the way.
Oh, we do. Okay.
So we're not completely done.
So is there anything else on this slide you want to cover? Maybe we can switch.
I guess we just about Nicole Kidman also, because I feel like we have to defend that a little more. Everyone else has all of these other actresses, it seems. She's having a great year, too. She just had, what was it, her AFI
Life Achievement,
where she listed off all the directors she's worked with, and it was like pretty much every major auteur and director working. So I think there's a lot of people like, wow, she's just pretty much worked with everyone. She's had this incredible career.
And
so I feel.
And she's Kate Blanchett, though not recently because she's coming off of Borderlands. But Nicole Kidman stands firmly in both the independent world, and she is a movie star. I mean, Moulin Rouge, it's a huge film to this day. I mean, she's coming off of, yes, you can laugh, the Aquaman movies, but I mean, the first one did make $1 billion, and so she is very popular. And so do not discount the popularity that Nicole Kidman has, especially with this voting group. Like
one of the biggest Netflix movies this year.
Yes, that too.
That's what she's coming off of. Yeah.
Yes, A Family Affair. All right, so are we good to move on to?
Yes. Do we want to talk about Lady Gaga too, with the asterisk next year?
I'm sure it'll be on. Well, maybe it won't be on your next list because you're not.
I don't think the person you're talking about is on the next list now.
I do think because people are talking about it. Of course, it is a Tony Award-winning role. Cynthia Erivo, previous Oscar nominee in Best Actress for Harriet, and that was a very competitive year. So that people do lean into her, and given, of course, what I know about the source material, it does give her a great opportunity to show off her chops. I think Wicked is going to have to be more respected for her to get in. I don't see a world where she's it's going to need to show up in the crafts for her to get in. I don't see her being a lone nominee, though I do think what helps her potentially, given we're going to talk about Lady Gaga and where she's placed, there's a world I think where maybe Cynthia Erivo wins the Golden Globe comedy or musical category if Lady Gaga goes supporting, and so then that might give her a little boost, and maybe SAG comes through for her. There are paths that she can walk, especially if Wicked does become the hit of the fall season. I don't think it's beyond reasonable doubt, if you look at Mufasa and you look at Sonic the Hedgehog 3, that Wicked is that family-friendly hit that can play from Thanksgiving to Christmas and gets people excited. So we'll see. I'm not predicting her right now, but I think it's something to keep an eye on. Where do you think Lady Gaga's going? Do you think she's
That's
going to
why
lead
I
actress?
have her asterisked here. I don't, spoiler for supporting actress too. I don't completely know where she's going to end up going. If I were to guess right now, I do think she's still going to end up campaigning in Best Actress. In my opinion, it feels like a two-hander, especially because I think as campaigning this film, she's probably going to be campaigning it even more than Joaquin at this point, because he doesn't like to do press in general, and especially I don't think he will want to answer even more questions about the whole Todd Haynes film thing. Lady Gaga loves doing press. She loves campaigning her films. So I think she'll kind of be the face of this film even more so than Joaquin on the press tour. And if you're the face of the film on the press tour, I feel like you kind of end up in lead actress. And if that were the case,
I also
I
think that
might put her in.
she has, I think I think she will have the same mentality that Michelle Williams had, which is, I'm a lead actress and I want to be taken seriously as a lead actress, what Lily Gladstone did as well. And so I think for her career, I think she's going to want to be seen as a lead actress, because supporting actress is just as competitive. So I don't see, it's not like it's a layup if she goes supporting. I also think that I think she's obviously somebody who views in equality and equal rights. And you may think that this is a strain on being ridiculous, but I think she's like, listen, if Joaquin Phoenix can win Best Actor, then there's no reason why I can't win Best Actress for playing what is probably a very similar role. And so I think that might help her. Though, of course, Heath Ledger won for Best Supporting Actor, so maybe she'll reason it that way. I think right now all the eyes are going to be on her. I think if the movie's a big hit, she is going to be credited with a lot of what makes the movie work, especially because she will be credited with grounding the musical elements, I think. So I think right now she's in a really great spot. I think what she's hoping for is that the movie performs well, because if it doesn't do, I think if it does north of like 600 million worldwide at the box office, 700, it'll be fine. If it comes in below 500 million at the worldwide box office, I really think she will have a hard time, because she will then, more than even Joaquin, wear a lot of the blame for this movie underperforming, unfortunately, because she is the on-camera talent that represents
the new part added.
Original part of this film. It's just how it works. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't, but actors seem to wear the blame for the failures of movies. And so I'm rooting for her. I love her. I went to her concert. I'm a big fan, and I think she's perfect for this role, and I can't wait to see it. So we'll just have to see where she
gets placed. An album coming out during award season, I'm pretty sure.
She released her new song with Bruno Mars. It's a great banger.
So I think she's got a pretty good shot getting in. I just, right now, because we're not completely 100% sure of where she's going to end up, I'm keeping her with the asterisk right there at number 7. But I don't know who I'd kick out either. Probably Amy Adams for Night Bitch, because I don't know. We were big on it before. I feel like the TIFF tribute thing is still like a big deal, but I feel like we'll get into it in Best Actor. I feel like maybe who they end up giving the TIFF tribute to Best Actor will end up carrying the stat of whoever gets the TIFF tribute award ends up winning an acting lead Oscar. So I don't know. I think
those things are meant to be broken. I mean, remember you a couple years ago, you were like, Peter Dinklage is going to get in because it has to be somebody who's never been nominated before. And then we broke that. Dem got the category. So these things, they're never indicative. They're just tea leaves that can send you in the right direction and make you feel proud. But in the end, I just think that you got to look at the movies themselves. And I just think from what we've seen, Amelia Perez, Joker, I think even Wicked are in stronger positions, because at least Wicked we can count on costume design, production design, makeup even. Like there are craft categories that you can at least say the Academy is watching Wicked. It might show up on shortlists. Night Bitch, I mean, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I think as an overall Oscar contender for tech categories, Wicked is stronger, but I just feel like, I don't know, for some reason, I don't think the Academy is going to touch that above the line. I feel like
that's more late.
Commercial play.
It's late. They have not been trending in the direction of late players. I mean, 1917, I feel like, is the most recent success.
Poor Things was pretty late.
But
that's what Night Bitch did. I think Night Bitch is releasing the same weekend as Poor Things.
I don't know. I feel like Poor Things in many ways felt more like an inevitability. We knew the talent involved. We knew that it was like a big hot ticket item. Not to release a question mark that late is a risk.
Well, we won't know. We'll know if it's a question mark because it'll be screened out.
It's a question mark. We knew going into the season, we knew Poor Things was going to probably be a strong contender. You were reteaming the Oscar-winning Emma Stone with Yorgos Lanthimos, who was coming off of his biggest hit. Like that felt like we weren't questioning whether that was going to be a major player. I feel maybe we'll have to go back and rewatch our show. I don't
think we were. I think some other people were.
Yeah. So, and obviously it worked out in its favor. I mean, it was the winningest most movie after Oppenheimer. There's no world where Night Bitch is that. So I think, to release that movie so late, that's a movie that I think if it came out and like limited in October could build up some momentum. That way, maybe it comes out on VOD or, on demand in like late December, early January. Like that's, I feel like the play for that movie. I feel like, I don't know. I don't think they know what to do with this movie because I don't think they know what this movie is.
It is. It's a bit of because it was originally set for streaming too, and then they gave it a theatrical release.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Marielle Heller is a good.
I'm all for it. After Alien Romulus this weekend, I'm very happy. I cannot imagine seeing that movie at home. So
that would be insane. I'm
very happy.
Yeah.
I love Marielle Heller too. So, but also this is somebody who her work has underperformed with the Academy. Can You Ever Forgive Me and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, more Oscar palatable movies.
But they still got acting nominations.
Yeah, well, they got acting nominations, but
I feel like that's her because she's an actress. I feel like that's her strength, directing.
Yeah, but I think the movie overall is not going to have the show of strength that I think a lot of these other movies will. As you said, Anora, I think, is a likely Best Picture nominee. So is for me, I think Joker is strong in that regard as well. Emilio Perez as well. So like that's what you're going up against. So we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. I could maybe see like a makeup nomination too. Who knows? But yeah, and I don't feel super confident about Angelina Jolie at number 1 because it doesn't have a distributor. So we'll have to see how that ages. Maybe if Night Bitch completely flops, Searchlight will pick it up and reteam for what they did with Jackie. But who knows? Like we said, it's a big gray area right now. So the rest we can quickly go through. I think that top 7 right here is really your main people in contention. Everyone else, I mean, Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths,
wherever she ends up.
Wherever she ends up. I just feel like the Outrun, the reviews from Sundance were pretty middling, which you can still get nominated, but I don't know. I feel like people are going to, if they're going to put their weight behind Saoirse Ronan, it will be with Blitz rather than the Outrun, which I don't even know.
We know that she's supporting for Blitz?
We don't know that, but I feel like she's clearly lead in Outrun, and the lead character in Blitz is her kid. So I feel like the smart move would to be lead for Outrun and supporting for Blitz, but she could end up lead for Blitz. But I feel like support.
It would be interesting to go back because I think Saoirse Ronan has earned the right to be in the category of like, overdue actors and like people feel like it's her time. Like if she wins, let's say this year or beyond, people will say it's her time, that she's earned this. And I wonder at that point how many of those people get that win in the supporting category. That would take an in-depth thing, but Julianne Moore won for Best Actress, Leonardo DiCaprio won for Best Actor. Granted, they were the leads of those movies unquestionably, but I get a sense of when and maybe that'll hurt her. Maybe people will be like, this is not the one to win on, and it'll be like Wolf of Wall Street or something where it's like they're great, but we're gonna wait because they want that bombastic lead performance. So that's something to keep in mind with Saoirse, is that I wonder how much this goes into it, but I do think there's a small little bit of you're going up against your past nominations, and you have to beat those before you can win the category.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll have to see how that ends up. I think supporting is her best play. But Hard Truths is distributed by Bleecker Street. It has a weird release date, so I don't know. That she could end up being a BAFTA nominee and sneak into the Oscars, but we still don't know a whole ton about that film either. Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, I think there's a good narrative there if she delivers on the performance. But I think this might just be a little bit too competitive of a year for her to end up sneaking in there. Zendaya for Challengers, maybe if the film blows up and becomes MGM's big push, I could see it. But right now, I don't really think so. She'll probably get Golden Globe, maybe SAG, but I don't think she'll end up at the Oscars. I mentioned Saoirse Ronan. Fernanda Torres is the lead of I'm Still Here, which I think is growing to become one of the international film contenders. I think it will do pretty well at Venice, so it's worth keeping an eye on some of the international performers. Ryan Destiny, Fire Inside, it's a sports boxing pick, maybe. Robin Wright for Here, I don't think so, but we'll see. Demi Moore for The Substance, it's a genre film. Florence Pugh, We Live in Time, probably not. Tilda Swinton for The End.
So, how about the horse from We Live in Time? Supporting actor?
Supporting actor? That's supporting actor, yeah. That'll be like what's his name was last year? Snoop the dog.
Was Snoop the I was getting Snoop the dog and Jenny the horse or Jenny the goat,
Donkey.
Donkey.
And Jenny the Donkey.
Oh God,
we have one every year, and I guess maybe it'll be the We Live in Time horse this year.
Yes,
that's the
so
true
funny.
star. But yeah, that's it for Bet. Unless you have anything else about these people.
No, it's just I
folks.
find it ridiculous that Cynthia Erivo is not on this list, but Robin Wright is. But we'll move on.
I don't know. I think Wick is just a tech player and a commercial play. I don't really see the actors going for that. It seems I'm also not confident it's going to be a good movie, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, listen, again, I'm more confident. I love Wicked. It's one of my favorite things on the planet. But I think it's a craft play, and I just don't think you can deny it. This role has won one of the major acting awards that can be bestowed upon an actor, and now you're going to get it intimacy, like you're going to get it with a close up. So I think if she does it well, I do think there's a path forward if Lady Gaga goes supporting actress that she could win Golden Globe.
But even then, I feel like Mikey Madison has a better shot.
A SAG nomination. They like Cynthia Erivo. People really like her. She got nominated for Genius Aretha. If that's not proof that they're paying attention to her, I mean, who watched that show?
I guess, yeah.
I just think people really like Cynthia Erivo, and this is going to be her biggest role yet. And it shows a lot of. She's going to be, of course, singing. The degree of difficulty is high. I mean, I think it deserves to be in the top 18.
It can be number 18. I'll put her at 18.
All right, there you go.
You can be number 18, maybe even a little higher. But I don't know. Right now, I'm just not as confident clearly in that film as you are.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. On the same day as Gladiator 2, we'll discover about both those films. So yeah, that's it for Best Actress. Now heading into Best Actor, where I have also made a change. I forget what we were. Oh, we were predicting Amy Adams last time we did this for actress.
Yeah. I think we might have the same change.
Probably. I think I've switched over to Ray Fiennes for Conclave. Yeah. I was mentioning the TIFF tribute thing earlier, which was Amy Adams. We don't know who's getting the actor this year. And I think it's going to be Ray Fiennes for Conclave. Yeah. He's in 2 films at TIFF. I forget what the other one is. And that's also a good sign that they'll probably end up giving it to him. Never mind. Congrats to Jarrell Jerome, though. I'm still predicting Ray Fiennes to win, but congrats to Jarrell. Great actor. Back to the video. And I think that he can carry that stat. But once again, that stat, like you said, is meant to be broken. He's also considered overdue. He's been nominated multiple times. He hasn't been nominated in a little bit. This is one of his more recent, like, leading parts.
Well, I mean, he's been in 2 Best Picture winning films, right? Schindler's List, The English Patient, both in the 90s, so it's been a while. I don't know if he's been in any since then. Yeah, I was in my mind. I was like, was he one of the British officers that we ran into in like 1917 or something?
I don't think so.
I know 1917 didn't win, but I'm just going through like the recent movies. But yeah, between that and of course his Oscar-nominated work in the beginning of earlier in his career, and then. I mean, we can't deny he was the villain in the most popular thing of maybe the last 25 years, and he was very good in that in Harry Potter, because I think that he is, I think, a more popular actor than people would think, and I think it's just been waiting for the right role, and this, I think, is the right role. I think Timothée Chalamet is great, but I think people still feel like he has a chance to win it down the line.
I don't like giving it to young actors in particular. Actresses, they're okay with giving it to younger performers, but an actor, you have look at Leo. You have to wait your time.
And I think that he's a 1-to-1 comparison with Leo's career. And so I do think that we have to see the film, but I also imagine that Conclave is just probably going to be better received than a complete unknown.
It'll be a bigger picture contender.
Yeah, too. So I am all in. I think Ray Fiennes is definitely going to. I'll put money down now. I feel that strongly about it. I think now that Sing Sing has been scuttled a little bit in its release, and it's so early too, which I always had the question about. And that Conclave is getting raves, and we haven't even hit the fall festivals. Yeah, I think it is. I actually have your 5. I think that is the 5.
Nice.
I think now that so Queer has a distributor. Yes.
No, still no distributor.
But it's screening.
It's going to screen at Venice and TIFF and NIF are the 3 festivals it's hitting.
So we'll see. I think the reason why I have Daniel Craig in right now is because I do think the person that would take his spot, I would have him at 5, is because I do think the person that would take his spot is Joaquin Phoenix. And I do think there's going to be, I do think there will be some residual backlash as this continues to erupt, because I don't think the story is going away. Now,
He needs to just pay the people and get it over with before Venice starts, and then like everyone asks him about it at Venice. So yeah, he got paid a ton for Joker too, and this wasn't a huge budget film. I'm sure he can easily settle and just pay the people. So
I do think
that would
that,
be smart.
but still, I think there's the creative. I think people really disrespect the creative injustice that they feel he partook in. That being said, he won for the first film, and I do think there are very few actors I feel like who have won Oscars and then come back to do a sequel. So like, I mean, I feel like if he is as good as he was in the first film, and he's singing and dancing, which means his degree of difficulty goes higher, and the movie is more well regarded, as I am assuming it's going to be, then I do think it's a little bit crazy to think that he wouldn't get in. Because I mean, the amount of enthusiasm people had for his performance the first time, I just don't see that going away and people being like, well, he already got it. Because we always, I just feel like that with the Emmys, that never seems to be a thing where like they've already gotten it, so we're not going to worry. It's like, no, they'll do it again. They love certain, Peter Dinklage won 4 seasons in a row, or 5.
I think it's a little different for TV than it is for movies, though.
Granted, yes, but I think we're in a rare space where it is an actor who has won coming back in the same role. So I do think right now I would tie Daniel Craig and Joaquin Phoenix. If Daniel Craig queer can get a distributor, then I'll give that the 5. If Joaquin Phoenix, if he doesn't get a distributor, then I do think, obviously, I put Joaquin Phoenix in because that movie, at least I know, will be seen by the masses and will get beyond the festivals.
It's interesting you paired the two together because Daniel Craig willing to do a more explicitly gay film in queer, and Joaquin Phoenix who just dropped out of one. But yeah, I feel like Joaquin, they really have to strike lightning twice with that for it to perform on the same level. Even before the backlash, I didn't have him getting in there just because I feel like you really, with the singing he could be, but you really have to be doing something different this time around to get in. And I don't know how different it's going to be. And I just don't think that they're going to embrace the film as much as they did the first.
See, well, we disagree on that. I think that they will be pretty similar in their reception. I think the nomination totals, I don't know necessarily if they will match or surpass, but I do think that the sentiment, I think, might be a little. I think there's a chance where the sentiment might be warmer just because it is doing something more original than the first film. We'll see. I mean, I think a lot of the critical reception from Joker didn't necessarily correlate into the Academy voters, and so they might.
The Academy loved it.
Yeah, so the Academy might lessen on it a little bit just because they just thought it was this great fresh movie, and now it has the weight of any sequel because it's not as fresh.
But we'll see. Academy doesn't like sequels.
I think what helps him more than anything else is that I do think it's going to be an all-around player, above the line and below the line, and so I do think it would be difficult for the movie to do that well, and yet you're not going to nominate Joker. Like, you're not going to nominate the titular main character, especially if Lady Gaga is supporting. Then what? You're not going to nominate your lead, who is demonstratively the lead performance. That's where I think it runs into an issue. So again, if Daniel Craig gets a distributor, then I think that has the potential to go up. I also think Paul Mescal is on the bubble. We have to see Gladiator 2 perform. It is a big question mark. I think we're leaning into it because they leaned into him with After Sun, and of course Russell Crowe. We assume it's going to be a showy constructed role, and Russell Crowe won for the first film. So I'm feeling good about him. But again, we could run into the issue where maybe they only go for one sequel, and maybe Paul Mescal is the one on the bubble. I feel very strongly about that top 2. Pretty good about that top 3. I think the only major name that's not on your main list,
he may be on the next
list, is John David Washington for The Piano Lesson. We're going to get a look at that tomorrow, so we'll get to see how it's shaping up. He, of course, was on the bubble for BlacKkKlansman and missed out, so I worry that can happen again. And then the other one is Ethan, I want to pronounce his name right, Ethan Harris from the Nickel Boys. We have to see that film. We have to see if it really launches, because then that could be the sort of, excuse me, that could be another launch of a career similar to Timothée Chalamet with Call Me By Your Name, where if he energizes a lot of people and he wins a lot of critics groups, then maybe he can jump into the top 5.
Yes, we will talk about those 2 in the next slide. But yeah, I feel like just going down, Ralph Fiennes, I feel pretty good about Ralph Fiennes, about being our potential winner. He seems like the most overdue of the people here. And I feel like as we saw last, it's might be a similar role to what Cillian Murphy had last year, where it's this guy leading this big effort to this big potentially power changing effort. And I think it might be a little more subtle, but I think you'll be able to like see the weight of it all in his eyes and such. So I think it could be a similar performance in that way. Timothy Chalamet, like we talked about, I think because it's a biopic film and they just love
And it's
those
popular.
performances.
Definitely aiming to be more popular, which doesn't always help.
It will make more money, definitely, than Conclave will, for sure. And I think he's pretty undoubtedly, I think at this point, the biggest star of his generation. So I think maybe they'll be like, but even then, I don't think they're going to be like, it's our time to crown him. I think it'll just, if he is giving, because looking here at the top three, I think he's undoubtedly going to be giving the most showy performance because he's playing someone from real life, which is what they go for. Because I think Ray Fiennes will be a little more subtle. From what I've heard about Sing Sing, Coleman Domingo is giving a more subtle performance. There's like no blowout scenes or like the kind of acting bait that they love. So I think Timothy will probably, yeah, yes. But I think Timothy will probably be the most showy of the top three. So I think he has potential to win for sure, especially because he's going to have a great year with this and Dune too. So I don't know. I think those are the top two that I'm mainly considering to win. If Sing Sing
I don't know.
regains buzz,
I still feel that like if Conclave is as great as we say it is, and Ray Fiennes is doing this great dramatic performance, I love Timothy Chalamet, but it would seem like this guy, like he's been around so long, and we're gonna give it to another music biopic. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Well, they gave it to Rami Malek over Bradley Cooper, who had been nominated a lot more times before.
Yeah, but Bradley, I think more than anything, I think the thing that hurt Bradley Cooper was being in so many categories, being in contention for directing, but then being nominated for picture, screenplay, and actor. And I think also some people assumed that he would win with song because, of course, he sings the song. Lady Gaga won. I wonder if that affected that at all. But I also think then when he didn't get nominated for director, he was kind of branded like the loser of the nomination pool, which is awful. And that shouldn't have been the thing. But also he wore that because he said that he was embarrassed that he didn't get nominated, which was an odd path to take. But then I do think that it hurt that his competition was somebody who was also in a musical film. Ray Fiennes, I haven't seen either. I have a feeling The Conclave is as far apart a movie than From a Complete Unknown could be.
I think so. I think they'll be very different. But I don't know. I do still, just because they eat it up, the musical biopic stuff, I would still consider him a potential winner. And I think he would end up, if he ends up winning, being the youngest actor too. I think he would take Adrian Brody, which we can move on to. Adrian Brody's mantle of being the youngest actor to win Best Actor.
I will say though that I think that it helps that it hurts Timothy Chalamet, helps Ray Fiennes that this isn't the first time Bob Dylan has made it to the big screen. Todd Haynes has. We've done this before. I think part of the rush of Bohemian Rhapsody is it was such a big deal because it was the first time that Queen was getting this sort of treatment. And I feel like if you go back, often it was like bigger play. Like I don't know what A Complete Unknown's going to do. I do think that it's going to have to survive on the strength of Timothy Chalamet's star power. Because like I did find it odd that they never say Bob Dylan in the trailer. Like they're assuming you know. And they don't. Maybe there's something to putting the name of the artist before like Whitney Houston.
Bob Dylan, A Complete Unknown.
Because I think a lot of the younger audiences that Timothy appeals to, I don't think they know who Bob Dylan is. I don't know if they know that this is a true story. If it doesn't, if they don't see it in the trailer, this is based on a true story. So,
and I don't know if they're going to show up to the box office either. We'll see.
I'm saying this because this is important because it's a popular movie needs the box office to do well in order to get into this sort of race because you're not going to get in on the merits of like critics groups. Like I'd be shocked if Timothy Chalamet starts picking up critics groups.
Not wins, but I think nominations probably.
So we'll see. But
a lot of the critics groups usually don't always align with what the industry does. Like Kristen Stewart was picking up all the critics awards and then she barely like sneaked in a nomination at the end. I think the industry can oftentimes have different, like who was winning the industry awards of Rami Malek? I doubt it was Rami Malek. It was probably Bradley Cooper.
It was a lot of
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, Christian Bale, not so much. it really was Willem Dafoe and Ethan Hawke. I think we're picking up a lot of those.
So I think the critics groups can sometimes lead us astray. I think that's not the kind of performance they would go for, but it is the kind of performance I think the Academy would go for. Critics groups would probably go for Daniel Craig, Coleman Domingo, or Ray Fiennes this year, if I were to guess, of those ones. But we'll see. Like I said, Coleman Domingo, not from what I've heard, a super showy performance in the film. It's losing buzz. If it gains more buzz, he could maybe win. But even then, I think there's another actor in that film who seems to be more of a standout. Daniel Craig and Queer, no distributor, which hurts it. I also just think the movie is kind of just right now, in my opinion, going to be a Daniel Craig vehicle. I don't think it's going to get a ton outside of that. So I don't know when all these other films I think are much bigger contenders in other categories in picture. I don't think this will be his chance to win. We'll have to see. Maybe Queer does end up becoming a picture actor, supporting actor, director kind of contender. Right now, I don't think it will be, but it's up in the air. So I don't think he'll be able to win for that, but we'll see. And then, as we talked about, Paul Mescal for Gladiator 2, I think Russell Crowe won for it. I think it'll be a similarly showy. He'll have lots of like screaming, angry, crying scenes. He's already been nominated, like we said, with Aftersun. So yeah, I feel pretty good about that top 5. And then Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, we can talk about as the last person here. I'm kind of having The Brutalist on the, as you'll see in some of the acting categories, on the edge here, because lots of people do think it's going to break out at Venice and become a big contender. That runtime still just holds me back a little bit on, once again, it could be something critics love, but it holds me back a little bit on all the industry embracing it completely, because it is Brady Corbett. It's not a Martin Scorsese 3.5-hour film. So I think it'll be a little harder for people to click on that screener or go to the theater to see it. It does have an intermission, which helps, but I don't know. I think that holds me back on it. Yeah,
I don't understand. Listen, Scorsese, Thelma Schoonmaker, love you, but like, theater has intermissions when they go that long. I think
it's a good idea.
Plays to the critic crowd, and he could win those critic groups awards, and that could propel him into the top 5. I think that's a possibility. I wondered
if it becomes a picture contender, I think he'll be in there.
Yeah, I just wonder like what his current status is with the industry and with people. I feel like I get the sense there's a little bit of an ickiness there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like there just seemed to be, he seemed to get like shunned the second he won the Oscar. It felt very similar to Cuba Gooding Jr. Like he won the Oscar and then he just like disappeared. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know whether it was the reaction to the Halle Berry kiss. She, of course, has talked about that, but I don't know. It's just, I get the sense. I feel like it's a little similar to other actors. It's like they're on the bubble, and when they're great, they'll get in. But if they're good, I don't think anybody's really going to cheerlead them into the category.
Yeah, true. It'll really, I think, in my opinion, for him here, it depends on how strong the film is. If the film is in picture, then I'll probably make room for him and kick out someone else. But right now, I don't feel strong enough about the film to put it in picture. But I think, kind of like in my predictions, The Brutalist is right on the edge of getting into picture. So I'm going to keep all the actors right on the edge of getting in, because I think if it is a player, there is room for them. It's a 3-hour and 45-minute film, so I'm sure there will be plenty of screen time opportunity.
I feel like the movie's getting longer every week we talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's right, but we'll see. It's close to that. And then some of the other people we were talking about, Gabriel LaBelle for Saturday Night. I just, once again, I think that's the younger actor issue, where I don't think and I don't think that's the kind of film that they're really going to give nominations to for acting wise, because I think it's more of an ensemble. He is leading it, but I think it is more of a SAG ensemble kind of play than like an individual acting nominee play. We'll have to see, but I feel like all of that cast is a little too young and a little too still unestablished at this point, because I mean, Fabelman's was his breakout, and I think this will be his follow-up. He was great in Snack Shack, but I don't think most people saw that. But yeah. Yeah, he was good in it. It came out over the summer. It's a fun little film. But yeah, I think he'll once again, kind of like in the Fabelmans, be in like this 8 to 10 range on the edge, where even if it's a less competitive year like it was that year, and like I think it probably will be this year, I still don't think he'll be strong enough to get in, unfortunately. And yeah, you mentioned John David Washington for The Piano Lesson. The impression I get from the play is that pretty much everyone else is more of like a standout performance than the lead character here, which is him. It seems like Daniel Deadwyler will have more standout moments. Same with Samuel L. Jackson. So I think, and also I just, His really only strong performance that I've seen is Black Klansman. I don't think I've really seen him in anything else where it's like, wow, what a great performance. So we'll have to see. Did he do this on the stage, or is he taking it over?
Ooh, I don't know. I think so. I'll
Okay.
Google it. I know
Yeah,
Samuel
because
Jackson is coming straight from the Broadway run.
yeah, and Daniel Deadwyler is replacing Daniel Brooks, I think, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Well,
Yes, David Washington was in the
okay.
most recent production.
So he has experience with the character and the role, which I do think helps in playing it on film rather than doing it for the first time. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I just think other parts of that film are going to stand out more. And if I have it getting 3 acting nominations, unless it's like being the Ricardos, I feel like at that point it's kind of have to consider it for Best Picture, and I don't think it's going to be a Best Picture contender. So we'll see.
I think you can bet on the 2, and I think that's probably where it's going to stay.
Yeah, I agree. Ethan Harice, as we mentioned before, for Nickel Boys. My main issue here is one, he's like we mentioned, with lots of younger actors here who are getting marks for being young, which unfortunately happens in the category. So I think that hurts him a little bit. I also think the fact it's going to kind of like Moonlight be switching back in time between different actors playing the character, I do think also kind of is why I think none of the actors for Moonlight got in. And I don't know if he'll still be strong enough to get in because he's switching back and forth between his adult version throughout the film. So
this is
we'll
trending
see.
young. This group.
It is, yeah, for sure.
Most. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. The only previous winner we have here are these two at the bottom, right? Adrian Brody, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
No one else here has won, and
well, Tom
no
Hanks.
one else. Well, Tom Hanks has won, but I don't think here is going to be a thing. We'll see.
No. Also, Sebastian Stan. I think it's just going to keep going down that list. We always said this was dependent on the political discourse at the time, and I think right now, people are getting tired of this whole Trump era. So I don't think that'll help.
Still doesn't have a distributor in the U.S., I'm pretty sure. So I feel like it's really up in the air. I think it probably won't end up coming out until maybe next year after the election is done and over with. So I feel like at that point, I wouldn't
be surprised if it ends up on a streamer and it doesn't really have a robust theatrical release.
Yeah. So I don't think that's really going to end up being something, even though it seems like the film is decent and he gives a good performance. I just think the circumstances around the film have kind of prevented it from breaking out the way we thought it could have beforehand.
The way you thought. I never was on board.
That's true. That was me.
All due respect to the people involved, I never thought that releasing this movie in this election cycle was going to bode well.
I think if it got a good distributor and it didn't have all the issues regarding that, I think it could have been at least an acting contender.
The issues regarding the subject of the movie?
Yes. Well, no, I don't think the subject would have hurt it a ton, to be honest. I think people would have watched it, but who knows? That's an alternate reality.
People would have paid. The type of people who
go to the Academy members don't have to pay for it. They watch it for free.
They also have to show up, and we've seen like with The Sun, sometimes even when it's free, they don't show up, even when the cast is there. And this cast isn't necessarily, this isn't Laura Dern and Hugh Jackman. Sebastian Stan, we love him, but he's popular with a certain crowd of superheroes. All right. Are we ready to move on from Best Actor?
I just want to mention Orlando Bloom for the cut is seems like we'll see it. I think it's hitting. I think TIFF is the festival it's hitting. It seems like a juicy kind of sports film role. I think he's a boxer and he has to cut down to a certain weight and it's like very intense on his body. So he's in his cut season. So who knows? Orlando Bloom is kind of an actor I think people have forgotten about a little bit. So maybe a little bit of a comeback. Who knows?
I thought you said that Orlando Bloom is kind of an actor, I think, and that was where the sentence ended.
Orlando Bloom is kind of an actor. Wow. No, I think he's he was really good in the both the Pirates and the Lord of the Rings films, and he's been in some of the biggest films of all time. So I think he has plenty of money, but we'll see.
If that was the criteria for getting into Best Actor, then Vin Diesel would be nominated every year.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson too.
Where's Dwayne Johnson for Red One? Where's his nomination?
Oh yeah, no, he'll be in maybe contention next year for that Smashing Machine movie. Who knows? But yeah, Jesse Eisenberg, maybe. I think A Real Plane is going down a lot, and even then, the acting contender is Kieran Culkin. We know nothing about the end, so we'll have to see. Even then, once again, it's a younger actor with George McKay and Jarrell Jerome. Once again, a younger actor, a great actor who I think, given the right role, I think could really break out into Oscar success. but Unstoppable, I think, is going to be too small of a film to do that for him this year. But it's another sports
Have
film.
we made the joke that Unstoppable proves to be stoppable in this season?
It is, yeah.
We've made that joke?
Not yet. We can make about it in supporting actress, maybe.
If we have, I have. All right. Yes. Wait, before you turn to supporting actress, because I assume that's the next category, I want to see if we have the same list.